What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Flaw 700. Welcome back to the 700 Block, the podcast. And this week I'm joined via Skype, author Donya Williams. She wrote the book Comes to the Light. She's coming straight out of the DC area. And this is a special interview for me because she actually wrote us on the podbrosnetwork.com and was interested in coming on the show and speaking her piece. So I appreciate that because that shows that the hard work that we put in is being noticed. And I like it when people that's doing things try to mix it up with us because we doing things and we come together and we make things happen. So ladies and gentlemen, author Donya Williams.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. First off, let the people know a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Donya, and I am a genealogical researcher. I've been researching for 25 years, and in my research, I've found some extraordinary things that I wrote about in a book. I'm a single mom of 4. I take care of my mother as well, and I'm just, pushing forward through this life.
Yeah, you got a lot on your plate, but you got to keep grinding, man. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, but we all got to keep grinding. But salute to you and your grind. No problem. When did you realize you wanted to be an author?
That's a great question because, to be very honest with you, I still haven't realized that I wanted to be an author. It may sound funny, but this book was really written through me by my ancestors. It was something that I wasn't even trying to do. It wasn't anything that I was looking forward to doing, but everything about this book, literally from what's inside of it to the actual cover of the book, was all done by my ancestors. So, nice. I mean, the story about my ancestors as far as the front cover of the book is 200 family surnames. And that's how many surnames that I've connected myself to. So I woke up one morning and just to go to the bathroom, it was like 3:30 in the morning. And I went to the bathroom, and when I went to go lay back down, I had this thought in my head, and it was like, yeah, you should do the cover with the family surname. And I had my eyes closed because I was going back to sleep, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. I'm gonna get right on that when I wake up. And then another thing came in my head. It was like, yeah, you can highlight the certain names that you're talking about in the book. And I was like, yeah, that's really great. I'm gonna get on that as soon as I wake up. Eyes still closed. And then I heard it again. It was like, yeah, and if you don't have any more, if you need more names to highlight, then you can highlight those names. And I opened up my eyes, and I was like, you're really not going to let me do this. You're not going to let me go to sleep. So 4 o'clock in the morning, I was up designing this particular book cover. So this is what I mean by this wasn't done by me. This is done by the ancestors in every which way and shape and form.
Right. So you were chosen, and you accepted your responsibility.
Pretty much.
Right. That is dope, the way you painted that, because that's how some ideas come. Like, sometimes you want to do something, but you don't know when to start or how to start it. And then one little idea hits you, and then it leads to another and another. So
that's right.
Right. So it's kind of like, don't think that you're going to have it all just by sitting there for 5 to 10 minutes, and then you get frustrated, like, I have no idea what I want to write about or do. Just go relax, chill, and the idea is going to hit you.
Yeah, it's going to come. It's definitely going to come.
Yeah, don't force it. How long did it take for you to write this book?
Originally, I was a part of 2 earlier book groups. So the first book group started, I think, about 5 years ago. And this book, which is now at 14, is 14 chapters, was originally 1 chapter. And it didn't work out with that particular first group. And then I was writing with a second group, and my book turned into 3 chapters. That 1 chapter turned into 3. And it didn't work with that particular group. And then finally my cousin Sheila, she was like, look, you just need to write this yourself. And there it is. So I would say 5 years.
Wow, nice. Before we go too far, I know you mentioned what the book is called, but can you give us a summary of actually what the book is about?
Sure. The book is about my journey in researching my family and the information that I found in the midst of it. And the information that I found took me to a place called Edgefield, South Carolina. And I learned everything from learning that my 4-time great-grandfather may be the father to 2/3 of the county, if not the entire county. I learned that there was people, I learned a lot about slavery, stuff that I really didn't learn, that I did not learn in school. I learned things about a man named Robert Abbott, who was, he's the founder of a newspaper that's still going on today called the Chicago Defender, and how he was credited for moving 500,000 people during the Great Negro Migration during the 1900s to the 1970s.
Nice.
So I just started getting information that I never knew. I started to pick up stuff that should have been taught in school, but wasn't.
Okay. So you figured out a lot of things that you didn't know. So I want to know 2 or 3. Let's keep it 2 or 3 things that you learned from your research that just blew your mind. And you were just like, wow, I had no idea.
Okay, so are we talking about as far as my family is concerned, or something that I thought should have been in history books that we all should have learned?
Well, you know what? Let's do both. I mean, if you have 3 as far as your family and 3 for the history books, or you could just combine the 3.
Okay, well, one, of course, is like I told you about Mr. Stack, Mr. Abbott. I thought that was just fascinating to learn that he is actually credited for moving 500,000 African Americans from the South to the North. He was the reason why. He was a big push as to why the Great Negro Migration even happened. And this wasn't in school books. This isn't in school books to this day. I also learned, family-wise, that is a picture of a man named Preston Brooks, and he's holding a cane over another guy. We all know Charles Sumner. This was the abolitionist who was very much into freeing slaves. And he got beat on the Senate floor because he did that. Well, I learned that Preston Brooks, the man that beat him, is my 3-time great-grandfather. That one right there just took me for a loop, because that was another one of those epiphanies that was help from the ancestors that guided me and directed me to find that information. And then another thing that I learned, family and should be in history books, was about my cousin John Yeldale. John Yeldale was a man who he was born in 1860. He was born on a slave plantation, and he basically hid his identity from everybody because he was accused of a murder that had happened during a riot in Edgefield, South Carolina, back in 1884. He is amazing because of the fact that in that riot, after that riot was over, he got away. And according to the census record, he was illiterate. He could not read. He could not write. But as you go along and you find and you read about him, you find out that he put himself through school at Wilberforce University. He changed his name to Reverend Elijah Fleming, and he became a reverend. He took care of himself and changed his whole identity in 5 years. Everything about him happened in 5 years, and his story is so profound because it was something like the O.J. Simpson trial or things that are going on today, because he was almost killed of a murder that he had nothing to do with. Well, I don't know if he didn't have anything to do with it, but
so you're 100% sure O.J. had nothing to do with it?
I changed the whole thing. Just change that up. Yeah. But nevertheless, yeah, it was a very similar trial. It got to the point, you know how when O.J. put the glove on and what's his name? His lawyer, he was like,
Johnny
if the glove don't fit, right, when Cochran said the glove don't fit, then you can't commit.
Right. You must have quit.
Yeah, you must. Yeah, you must have quit. So he had that same type of thing that happened to him because of something that the governor of Philadelphia, not the governor of Philadelphia, the governor of South Carolina said. He made a comment ensuring his safety. And during that time, you know, South Carolina they're the ones that fired the first shot in the Civil War.
Mm.
They were the ones that was just always against the Constitution. Well, he made a comment where he actually came on and said, we always follow the rules. Well, that was like the glove.
Mm.
Because at that point, South Carolina was now on trial, and they had to acquit him if they wanted to look like they were going to give him a fair trial. So to me, he never really got a fair trial because of that one comment that that governor at the time, Richardson, said. So it's very parallel. Everything that I found throughout my history, and it started to become very parallel to the things that are going on today as far as race and the political climate and just how things are. And I often wonder where John Yelldale would be today because during that time, African Americans were Republicans.
Drop them gems.
I mean, that's what it is. African Americans during that time were Republicans, and those who were racist to a certain degree or against anti or for slavery were Democratic. I mean, my 3-time great-grandfather was a Democrat. So this is why you hear people saying, I don't know why black people are Democrats. They don't have no business being Democrats. They're the ones that enslaved them. Well, that's not true. The bottom line is that they all enslaved. You know, that's the bottom line. Everybody enslaved. The whole thing was enslaved. Both sides were racist. However, if you take somebody like Strom Thurmond, for example, who everybody connects with racism, no matter how you say his name, he was a Democrat first. He switched over to Republican.
Right.
So how do you go, this is what's going on. These are the things that are happening. So when someone questions me about why I'm Democratic, I explain it to them. I can tell them. And then they can't say nothing else to me after that. And I think it's that type of information that needs to be let out to people instead of them constantly spitting this information, this wrong, or as they call it nowadays, revision history. That's incorrect. It's all incorrect.
And all of this is in the book.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's done in a story format. It's done. It's not a boring book. It could be very boring, but it's not. It's done in story format. It's done in ways that I can find that I was able to express to everybody else how my feelings were and what it was that I started to learn about different things in my family and just in American history in itself.